Thomas Jefferson and his Republican followers envisioned a country that is somehow different of those in the Federalist Party. They wanted a nation of independent farmers living under a central government that have the minimum control over their lives and serve merely to protect the individual liberties guaranteed by the Constitution. Now, Jefferson, as president, was going to lead a country that was growing more industrialized and more urban. There was also a new capital that was designed by Pierre L'Enfant, and the Adams administration first occupied it, okay? But when Jefferson moved in there, it was still a new town in a way. There have muddy streets and, of course, muggy summers, right? Most of the town population actually left when Congress was definitely was not in session. Now, Jefferson, as president, tried to protect and, of course, project an image of, in a way, democratic simplicity. Sometimes he even dressed casually. But he was a brilliant thinker and an experienced politician. He appointed men to his cabinet who agreed with his political philosophy. James Madison as Secretary of State, and Albert Gallatin to lead the Department of the Treasury. Jefferson placed in different kinds of policy, making positions for men of his own party, and he was the first president to pursue the role of party leader, cultivating congressional support at his dinner parties and elsewhere. Okay? Now, during the Jeffersonian era, he also dealt with different conflict with the judges at the Supreme Court. For example, William Marbury, and he ended up suing, okay, the Secretary of State Madison to force delivery on his commission as a justice of, and also peace, and the federal district John Marshall, Chief Justice, refused to rule on that particular request. Now, in many ways, this John Marshall, as a Chief Justice, decided claiming this was not going to give the Supreme Court jurisdiction over such matters, and exceeded in many ways the constitutional grant for power. Thus, with all of that said and done, everything was unconstitutional. Marshall, okay, asserted the power of the judicial review over federal registration, a power which has become the foundation, okay, of the Supreme Court check on other two branches of the government. So this was that time now during the Jefferson era where the balance between power of what can be the power of the executive branch and the legislative branch, and of course the judicial branch. All these new powers put it in abstract being placed in the Constitution are now being tested in many ways, shape, or form. Jefferson began to impeach Federalist judges from the Supreme Court. He wanted to impeach Supreme Court Justice Samuel Chase. In a way, this was encouraged by the court. Okay, so all of this, everything was very much political. Now let's go back to the map here. This is the Louisiana Purchase. Now, the Louisiana Purchase led to a debate on the nature of the Constitution, in which the Federalists feared the addition of new territories would bring powers to the Republicans, okay? So, in many ways, any change that happens, okay, in a nation, it's a significant change. And sometimes adding new territories in a new nation can be somewhat, a situation where everybody gets to worry, because how do you then control that? What if, financially you can't control and you don't have the financial power to be able to occupy certain territories back then? Now, Jefferson's discovery was led by Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. So I'm going to go back to this slide right here. These are Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, also known as Lewis and Clark, right, who explored the new regions, okay, and the resources. So let's go to this slide, okay. So in many ways, this is the slide here has, okay, I want to just point this out. This is the actual territory that was actually explored. Okay? And this captured public imagination and gave the U.S. a claim to the Oregon Country. The purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1803 through negotiation with the French emperor back then, do we know him? Napoleon Bonaparte, dramatically expanded the boundaries of the United States. And if you go back to the map, okay, you'll see here that this is now, for the most part, the new United States right here. Okay, so it expanded the territory this way. And in many ways, shape, or form, ultimately, the Louisiana Purchase was significant because it gave the United States the control of the Mississippi River. Now, why is Mississippi River important? Of course, through trade, okay, and there's resources there. Thomas Jefferson did not dismantle much of Hamilton's economic program because he believed that, okay, that he basically wanted to continue on this particular tax program, such as repealing, other policy. But one thing that he repealed is the whiskey tax program, and he basically, at his administration, also cut back of government expenditures. Now, there are going to be a lot more important information that happened during Thomas Jefferson's administration that I want all of you to start reading in some of the chapters that are put aside in regards to some of the topics that we discussed for this. So I encourage you to look at your CLEP review book. I encourage you to look at some of the chapters and maybe some other supplemental resources that will help you understand all of the situation that was happening during his administration.